So come to find out, not everybody around the NFL thinks that Tim Tebow attempting a comeback after nearly a decade away from the game and trying to learn a new position at the same time is a good idea. In fact, I'm not sure anybody anywhere not named Tebow and Herb think that that's a good idea. And I'll tell you some guys who really don't like it. Members of Herb's own hand-picked coaching staff. That's right. According to ESPN's Jeff Darlington, there is, quote, serious disagreement within the Jags organization about signing Tebow. End of quote. So apparently some members of Herb's own staff don't think that signing Tebow is a good idea. I'm not talking about a guy coming in and inheriting somebody else's staff. This is his hand-picked staff. And some of these guys reportedly do not think that signing Tebow is a good idea. And do you know why that is? Because it's not a good idea. Because these same coaches want to win. And they know that a 33-year-old who has not been in the league in nearly a decade, who's trying to attempt a comeback while learning a new position, is not going to help them win. It's not going to make a one-win team better. They know that. These coaches against it know that, just as they know that clearing out a roster spot for Tebow instead of somebody who could, actually help them win is not a good idea. You know how I know they know this? Do you know how they know this? They know this because they're not idiots. You're going to tell me that in this era of amazing tight ends, Herb could not find a better one than a 33-year-old Tim Tebow who has never even played the position on that level and has not played in the NFL since 2012. That's the best option that he has at that position. If Herb truly thinks that and truly believes that, then clearly he is not wired to coach in the NFL, because there is no other coach and no other team other than the Jags who would ever even think of pulling this kind of stunt, much less actually executing this kind of stunt. There's only one coach in the entire league who would do this, because every other coach in the league knows that the guy that we're talking about at this point of his life is not going to help them at all from a football standpoint. And there's no way they're going to burn a valuable roster spot on a guy like that, because they know they can do better than a 33-year-old dude who has not been in the league for nearly a decade and has never even played the position at that level. So, as bad ideas go, this is one of the worst. Right when you think that Herb might actually be suited and built for the pro game, he pulls this bullcrap. And that was after drafting Travis Etienne to be a third down back. Another terrible idea. Just not as terrible as signing Tebow. Again, let's be clear. This is not Jacksonville doing this. This is Urban Meyer doing this. Because if Herb were not calling the shots there is no way the Jags, not even the Jags, are going to give a contract to a 33-year-old failed NFL quarterback turned failed minor league outfielder, turning into a would-be tight end after being away from the league for nearly a decade. Even the Jags aren't doing that if Herb's not there. The Jags wouldn't do that, and neither would anybody else, because nobody would do that. It's a joke. Only way this could possibly happen is if Herb somehow landed in the NFL. Let's not forget, Tebow tried out for the Jags before the draft, and they're the only team he tried out for. But don't try and tell me that means that that's the only team that he would come back for. That doesn't mean the Jags are the only team he's interested in. It means the Jags are the only team interested in him. I mean, this really is the most embarrassing move involving Tim Tebow. Like, Herb investing time and money into Tebow as a tight end. Like, I have no idea why. Again, I'll ask, for who, for what? If your answer is because the Jags don't have a lot of options at tight end, then that's on the Jags. And I can assure you the answer is not a former quarterback turned minor league outfielder. I mean, does Urban Meyer know what the tight end position has become in the NFL. This is not a spot for some guy who's too small to be a tackle, but too big to be a receiver. It's no longer a place where you put a big scrub and you really don't give a damn what happens. This is a premium spot in the offense in that league in 2021. A spot for guys like Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, dudes who are absolutely insane athletes with crazy hands and an unbelievable understanding of the game. Guys who can carve defenses with their speed and their skill and still truck guys with their size. Freaks. It's no surprise that teams with guys like Kelce, Kittle, Gronk go to the Super Bowl. And yet you're going to enter that battle with Timothy Richard Tebow. You're trying to completely overhaul and turn around a one-win team. And you're thinking the answer is Tim Tebow, or that's even part of the answer. Man, I'm telling you, think about the Jags. There is so much to be excited about when it comes to the Jags. How is Tebow, for instance, a bigger topic with the Jags right now than their number one pick in the draft? Their savior, their franchise quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Like, I don't want to keep hammering away at this point, but Tebow was drafted in 2010. Do you know how many people are left in the league from that draft class? Not many. And the ones who are, they're really good at what they do. Guys like Joe Hayden, Rob Gronkowski, Emmanuel Sanders. You know, guys who are absolute pros, master craftsmen, if you will, at their gigs. Really good at their jobs. They've been playing pro ball since 2010. I mean, at this rate, why stop with Tebow at tight end? Why not just bring back Jimmy Clausen and let him play safety? Why not bring back Jake Locker and let him line up at linebacker? And how is this going to play in your locker room when you're giving a locker and a potential roster spot to a guy who is your buddy from college? What kind of message does that send your locker room? And if the whole point of this is that Tebow is a great mentor and a great motivator, and they quote, if you just want a guy like that around because he's so good to have around, great. I get that. I accept that. Make him an intern or the ball boy or the get-back coach or an assistant strength coach, or best of all, just bring the guy in one day to be a motivational speaker or try to pump up the other actual professional football players. He doesn't need to wear a jersey. He could be the jacked up nut who breaks boards before a game, or he can let guys punch him in the face, or whatever. Whatever you do to hype and motivate people. Just don't let this guy in the field and hope that he's going to make your football team better, because he won't. He won't. I also saw the Jags are currently advertising for a fan experience representative, a social content producer, a graphic design intern. Man, if you want this guy around, let him throw a resume at one of those jobs. And then after his day in the office is done, he could swing by the team and give them one of his famous speeches. But instead, Herb and the Jags are reportedly giving him a jersey and a contract as an actual football player. And when this doesn't work out, because it won't, don't come here and say it's too bad that Tebow didn't work out, because he was never going to work out. When this thing bombs, it won't even be on Tebow. It's going to be on Herb, because Herb is the guy who used time and energy to make a 33 into a productive 33-year-old tight end. And anybody who knows anything about that game knows that will never happen. I don't care how much success that you've had in college, coaching young athletes. Grown-ass men are not just going to buy in when you get that job. You have to earn their respect. They don't give a damn what you did at Ohio State or Florida or Utah or Bowling Green. And bringing in Tebow is not a good way to earn their respect and prove to them that you know what the hell you're doing. Hell, even your own hand-picked assistant coaches think this is a terrible idea. And they're Herb guys. This is Herb's worst idea since he brought strength coach Chris Doyle in, who he insists that he completely vetted, only to turn around and fire him one day later because he was accused of bullying and discrimination at Iowa. Herb, listen, I know you say you spent the better part of a year studying the pro game, But from the looks of things, you did not study hard enough or long enough. Not if you're hiring guys and then having to fire them one day later, and not if you're bringing in guys that you won with like a decade and a half ago. The players in the locker room are not going to understand that. They're going to see that, and they're going to think you're just bringing in your own dude when they've already been in the program. So they know that you could do better at that position. So a terrible message to send and a terrible football move on top of that. And let me tell you something. If I'm wrong, and this guy rolls in here and he makes that team and he tears it up, I will be the first to apologize for having said that entire rant. I just know I won't have to. I will if I'm wrong, but I know I won't have to.